All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to do something pretty cool. We are going to follow a single tiny data packet on its absolutely wild, high-speed journey across the entire internet.
So, have you ever wondered how an email gets halfway across the world in like a split second? Well, it's not magic, I promise you. It's actually a series of these brilliant, super fast decisions happening all the time, all over the globe. And for our little data packet, its adventure starts right now, the second it meets its very first router. Okay, so picture this. Our data packet is like a lone traveler, and it just arrived at this huge, chaotic intersection with roads branching off in every direction. That intersection, that's a router. So what's a router? Well, it's basically a specialized computer. Its whole job, its entire purpose in life, is to look at where our packet wants to go, its final destination, and then pick the best next road to send it down. But how in the world does it make that choice? I mean, it can't just guess, right? That would be chaos. It needs a map. And in the world of networking, that map has a very specific name. It's called a routing table.
So let's talk about this digital map. Every single router out there has one. It's its own internal guide to the internet. Now here's the thing. It doesn't know about every single little side street. Nope. It just knows the major highways and, crucially, the very next major intersection it needs to send our packet to. You could say this routing table is its entire view of the world.
Okay, so let's break down what we're looking at here. This table has the three key ingredients the router needs for every single decision it makes. First up, you've got the destination network. Think of this as the general neighborhood our packet is trying to get to. Then there's the gateway, or next hop. That's literally the address of the very next router it should hand the packet off to. And finally, the interface. That just tells the router which physical plug, which port to shoot the packet out of. That's it. Now, to make things even faster, routers don't actually use that big routing table for every single packet. That would be too slow. Instead, they use something called a forwarding information base, or FIB. Just think of the FIB as the router's speed dial. It's a super clean, totally optimized version of the main table, with only the absolute best routes ready to go. This is what lets it make those decisions in like microseconds. It's all about speed. So that begs the question, right? Where do all these routes in the map even come from? Well, there are basically two ways this happens. A human, a network administrator, can sit down and program the map by hand. Or they can let the routers be smart and figure it all out for themselves, automatically. And this leads us to two totally different philosophies, static versus dynamic routing. Static routing, on the left, is exactly what it sounds like. It's fixed, it's manual, it's like typing an address into your GPS before you even leave the driveway. On the other hand, you've got dynamic routing. This is the cool stuff. The routes update automatically. It's way more like a modern GPS app with live traffic updates, always finding the absolute best path for you right now. And as you can probably guess, there are major trade-offs. It's not like one is always better than the other. The choice really depends on the network. Static routing, it's super secure and simple. It doesn't take much brain power from the router, so it's perfect for small, predictable networks. But for something huge and messy and constantly changing like the internet, oh yeah, you need dynamic routing. It's the only way to handle that kind of scale and adapt on the fly.
All right, let's get into a really interesting scenario. What happens when our packet's destination actually matches multiple routes in the table? How does the router choose? How does it break the tie? So let's say our packet is trying to get to the address 192.168.1.130. The router looks at its map and, whoa, it finds three possible matches. Route A, Route B, and Route C, the default route. All of them are technically correct. This kind of thing happens all the time, by the way. And to solve this puzzle, routers follow one simple, elegant, golden rule. And that rule is called the longest prefix match. Now, the name sounds a little technical, but the idea is super simple. The router will always choose the route with the longest subnet mask. That's the number after the slash. And here's the key takeaway. Longest just means most specific. That's it. The router's logic is to always follow the most detailed road sign it can find. It's going to pick the sign pointing to a specific street over a sign that just says downtown. So let's watch this in action. The router looks at the three matches. Route A is a /24, Route B is a /25, and Route C is a /0. It just compares those prefix lengths, 24, 25, and 0. Which number is the highest? Well, it's 25, of course. That makes route B the longest match, which means it's the most specific path. It's the best instruction. So boom, the decision is made, and the router forwards the packet using route B.
And here's what's so incredible. That one simple decision, the longest prefix match, is happening billions of times every single second on countless routers all across the planet. It's that tiny, rapid-fire decision that literally weaves the entire internet together.
So how do all these routers keep their maps up to date, especially with dynamic routing? Well, they talk to each other. They're constantly sharing updates using these special languages called routing protocols. You can almost think of them as gossiping, sharing news about new roads, reporting traffic jams, or warning about a bridge that's out. It's this constant communication that keeps their internal maps accurate.
And there are a few major types of these protocols. You've got distance vector protocols. They're pretty simple. A router basically just tells its next door neighbor, hey, that town is 10 miles that way. Then you have link state protocols. These are way more advanced. Every router builds a complete top-down map of the entire network and shares that whole map with everyone. And then there's the big one, path vector. This is what the global internet runs on, a protocol called BGP. It doesn't just care about the shortest distance. It connects massive networks together by choosing the best path based on all sorts of things, like company policies and business deals.
You know, it's amazing to think that this quote from one of the internet's founding technical documents all the way back in 1981 still nails it. It perfectly describes this elegant, incredibly powerful, and yet surprisingly simple process that we've been talking about. So the next time you hit send on an email or load a web page, maybe you'll have a new appreciation for the incredible high-speed journey your data is about to take. Thanks for joining us for this explainer. I'm curious, what part of this hidden journey did you find the most surprising? Let us know.